everybody. Thank you for joining us for this major event. This is as we know, this is the SpaceX Crew 9 launch. It's a actual crew rotation launch, but in a historical manner, it's also actually a rescue mission.
Mm.
As we're all aware, the Starliner, when it went up, had its issues. And the crew, Sonny and Butch, had to stay on the International Space Station while the Starliner returned automatically to Earth. We know all about the issues. We're not going to really rehash all of that. But as a result, Sonny and Butch were left on board the station, um, which of course is stretching resources. I mean, they were already a couple of months into the mission, which should have only lasted, I think it was about 8 days, if I remember right. If anybody knows different, please correct me. But yeah, it it was a very unfortunate thing. It's caused a lot of consternation in the space industry in America as to where they go now, because the Starliner was expected to join the Dragon, the SpaceX Dragon, as sort of like the taxi to take people to and from the space station. So again, as I said, this is the SpaceX Crew 9 launch. There's only two crew members, and there's a lot more we can talk about. I'd like to welcome Michael. How are you, Michael?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Not too
Yeah.
bad at all. Thank you. And from across the pond, it's Lou. How are you, Lou?
Yes, doing well. Just sitting under continual cloudy skies here on the East Coast.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because well, you can see the clouds in Florida at the moment. There was some concern earlier about maybe this wouldn't fly. There still are some concerns if something really changes. Of course, this is the tail end of Hurricane Helena. I think it's a tropical storm now, or
Yeah.
it maybe even been
Yeah.
degraded from there now. But and it has been a serious storm because, as I understand, the last I heard, at least 40 people have lost their lives, and our
Yeah,
hearts go out to all their families.
the number's a little higher now.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, never want to hear anything like this. But yeah, this is because it went through Florida a couple of days ago, and of course, the Falcon 9 had to be taken back to the um, vertical assembly building for protection. And then it was wheeled back out again because this was supposed to launch. Was it Thursday originally?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
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 Yeah, Thursday. So, but then again, it's also had some. I don't know if you were aware. It also had some. It's had a paint job since it's been at
I would
Florida.
say.
Because what's happened is as we know, this is the very first launch of a Falcon 9 from Pad 40,
Yeah.
which is right next door to 39A. Now, 39A is usually where the Falcon 9 takes off, launching Starlinks and crews and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, since this mission, this rescue mission, if you want to call it that, I mean,
Yeah.
this is very Thunderbirds. And since this it was wheeled out, they've actually launched one or two Falcon 9s launching Starlinks and other satellites. Now, 39A's got a very long flame trench, which takes all grunge, because this is a gasoline powered rocket with gasoline and oxygen.
Mm.
So it produces soot. And that was all supposed to be taken away. Now, the prevailing winds usually take it away from um, the Pad 40. But unfortunately, with Helena, and the winds building up, the winds had actually changed and they blew back over Pad 49. And what they discovered on close inspection is that the Dragon and the what do you call it, service module, which is the trunk, which is connected to it, which provides the oxygen and fuel for maneuverability and the electronics,
Mm.
were covered in soot, Well, you can't fly it like that.
Mm.
And this is, and basically, it's all to do with the paint job. Now, this isn't paint that you can nip down to your local automobile supply shop, buy a can of spray, shake it up, get that little widget inside rattling around, and then give it a quick spray. This paint is specially designed, and they've had to clean off as much as possible from the actual capsule, and then give it a paint job. And I think they've said that they've actually put 3 coats of this special paint on there. Now, when I say it's special paint, it's designed to absorb certain wavelengths of light and heat, but also reject others, higher energy ones, to protect the crew. It's part of the protection system. So it's not just ordinary standard um, paint. You don't put it on with a roller, I shouldn't think. There's probably some sort of special spray job with an adhesive to make sure it does stick. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs. But also on the trunk, they found that one of the radiators also was covered in this soot. Now, that is got another different type of paint,
Mm.
which is porous. And what they found is they tried to wipe it off, but all it did is all the hydrocarbons from the soot and all that filled the micro holes. And it's designed to be like that. So I suppose just to help generate heat away, because it would give it a larger surface area if you've got little divots into it, and it increases the. So what they had to do is clean off as much as possible, and then give that a 3 coats of the paint that they use on there. They've tested everything. They've checked as much as they can. Everything's working fine now. So yes, we've got a brand new looking capsule and its space trunk and all that,
Yeah.
its service module. You could just see it there when they've just done that. So that was one of the problems they had with putting it up at pad 40. Because of course I don't know if I've watched it, but the static tests they did as well, the
Mm.
engines. But in the meantime, with the launches just across the way, because this is one. Because Michael, didn't you? How many launch pads did you say it's in this area?
Say that again. How many launch
Uh,
pads?
are in this area? Is it? There's this designed for 4.
No, no, that was I was talking about Complex 39 for that.
Oh,
Um,
okay then.
yeah,
Okay then. So
yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
they've got, and of course also soon they've also got the tower going up for
yeah.
the Starship as well going
But
there. But
what I would say about your mentioning the paint job, it is nice to have a brand new looking rocket on the first cruise launch from Pad 40 anyway, isn't it?
yeah,
You have to look
this
your
is.
best if you're going into space. You don't want to just wear
Oh,
anything.
oh
No,
yeah, of
no,
course.
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you.
you have to
It's like
look your best.
turning up at your wedding in a Rolls Royce
Yeah,
Phantom.
yeah,
Um, of course, this is Capsule Freedom, isn't it?
it is. Yes.
It has been used before. It's been used on the Crew 4 launch, Axiom 2, and Axiom 3. So
Yeah,
it's been used 3 times before. This is its 4th journey. So that's one of the crises they've had, and they've resolved it. They've
yeah,
had to give it a brand new paint job.
So,
Um,
so they're launching 2 new astronauts to the
yeah,
space station. Okay, and they already have 2 more than they thought they'd have,
yeah,
and yet they are going to wait the full 6 months and return the Crew 9 astronauts, as well as the 2 astronauts that have been waiting to return.
yeah,
So they have to wait another 6 months
yeah,
as well. So I hope they brought some sandwiches with them because
yeah.
I can't.
yeah.
Um,
Well, they
well,
because they're only sending up 2, they are sending more logistics up.
yeah.
Because
Oh,
they need to do that as well to counteract the balance so that there's 2 crew members missing.
one of the
Uh,
things that I've learned today is that they're actually sending up another SpaceX spacesuit
mm,
for
that's right,
Nick
yeah.
Hague. Sorry, not for Nick Hague, for Butch
Butch, but yeah,
Williams, but the Butch Wilmore, get you right. But
Toonie Williams, yeah.
Sonny Williams has already tried on a SpaceX spacesuit that's already at the station, and that's okay.
Yeah, well, the spacesuit that was at the station was for the female astronaut, I can't think of her first name,
Oh, yes, I
Boyson.
know. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she went up in a Soyuz,
Yes.
and they had that there as a contingency, in case she had to come back
I'm
in
with you.
a
Yeah.
Dragon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that suit was
Um,
already there. But as you said, they're sending up a second suit for Butch, plus all the umbilical cords and things like that.
Mhm.
and of course, the other big thing as well is because of the crew reducing from 4 to 2. Nick Hague is now the commander, and the Russian is now a mission specialist.
Yeah.
There's no actual separate pilots. Originally, is it Zena?
Alexander Gobinov, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Alexander
right.
Gorbanov, yes,
Yeah.
he's the cosmonaut.
The the commander was going to be Zena Kaplan, and Nick was going to be the pilot, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, and is it Gorbatov's first flight? Isn't it not? No,
It's his first flight. It's Nick Hague's third, I think.
third. That's right.
Yeah.
And
And
of
of
course,
course,
Nick
he's a
Hague,
member of the Space Force, isn't he?
yeah, he is. But
Yeah,
he
so
was
he's
also involved in the Soyuz launch escape, where they had to make a ballistic return after the failure of the Soyuz rocket, if you remember.
Yeah. One thing I did when I was listening to the NASA pre-launch chat yesterday, the press release,
Yeah,
is that I wasn't aware actually, because we've got 4 parachutes on
yeah,
the Dragon, and they can land. They could have
yes,
free fail and still land
yeah,
safely.
yeah,
But there is also the facility that
yes,
if all of them land, that they can actually fire the thrusters at the very last
that's right.
minute
Yeah, yeah,
to cushion the actual
yeah,
splashdown.
yeah,
I didn't realize that they
yeah.
had that, but yeah, they do have the
Uh,
facility for that.
yeah,
Yeah,
power assisted landing, just in case of the failure of all of the
yeah,
more of the shoots. Yeah, but
yeah.
of course, wasn't that system designed originally for a landing on land?
I wouldn't know because this is the first time I'd heard of it.
Right. Okay.
Um, it
Yeah.
was an amazing thing. We're just coming up towards 3 minutes. What we'll do is in a minute we'll cut over to
Yeah.
we're going to use NASA space flight, and then what we'll do is we'll cut over in a second. We'll have a listen in for
Yeah.
the last couple of minutes, watch the launch, and
Yeah.
then uh, come back and have a quick chat again
Yeah.
about things and all that. So yeah, so like we said, this is SpaceX launching Crew 9, and there's only 2 on board. Because it's also said, as well as being a crew rotation, it's a rescue mission as such,
Mhm.
for the 2 astronauts that were left behind when the Starliner had its issues. But that did return successfully on its own. So what we'll do then is we'll pop over to NASA spaceflight.
Yeah.
Let me just go over here.
Oh,
Where we go? Come back.
yeah.
There we
There
go.
it is.
Can we listen
There
in?
we go. Yeah, I'm just going to. Let me just bear with me a second. Right, here we go.
And you'll also notice that not just from the
Can you
call
hear
out, but
that?
from a visual indicator
Yep.
as well.
Yes, sir.
Let's wait for the T-minus 2 minutes.
Oh.
And second.
Of course,
Look
this
at that.
launch
Stage
Just
2,
had-
LOX load is complete.
Oh, good.
There we go.
And there we go. And we'll see one more vent
Dragon
coming
in
out
auto
of
idle.
T.
And of course, it's instantaneous.
Very
launch
quickly,
window as well.
Adrian, what is that vent?
Oh, that vent is basically just purging
Ground gas
the
closeout
lines of the
has
TE.
started. Expect loud venting.
There we go. Because that TE, of course, until recently transported rocket propellant, and you don't want to have residue rocket propellant in your TE to set that on fire. So, there you go.
Yep, final purge of the lines. Clear it all out. 75 seconds to go.
Oh.
The next thing that we will listen for is the Falcon 9 tanks pressuring to flight levels, and Falcon 9 entering startup. So the onboard computer is taking control at T-minus 1 minute.
FDS is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling.
Dragon in countdown.
There we go. The next we should be getting hopefully a go for launch at T-minus 45 seconds. Keep an ear out on the net.
Freedom, SpaceX. Go for launch.
We have a go for
Freedom,
launch.
let's go for launch.
Obviously, weather improved. Coming up now
Give
is
me
30
seconds.
seconds. We will let you listen into the launch once it happens. I promise we will be quiet for that part at least. Coming up now on 20 seconds. You'll notice at the
15
base of
seconds.
a rocket, there will be a green flash of T-Teb, which is used to ignite the engines.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Engines full power. And liftoff of Crew 9. Go SpaceX, go Falcon, go NASA.
Lovely launch.
Way.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 Alpha.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal. Copy, 1 Alpha.
Beautiful.
Certainly is. Go, go, go.
Look at.
Thunderbirds are go.
Yeah.
Oh, right up through the cloud deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
And
lovely
there's-
shot. Hang on, that's a lovely shot. Yeah.
A nice blue sky for it to launch into. A nice window.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Stage 1 throttle down.
Max Q.
And of course, this booster, when it detaches, will be landing back
aerodynamic
Vehicle
pressure.
is supersonic.
at Kennedy Space Center itself, just a few miles away from where it's launched. So,
Yeah.
Stage 1 throttle up.
There we go. Vehicle through max Q, through maximum pressure on vehicle.
Stage 1 Bravo.
And these calls are the abort
Copy, 1
zones
Bravo.
when they
Exactly. If they were to need to abort, those are the different splashdown areas that they could get to.
MVAC chill is underway.
And that was the final abort zone for stage 1. Next up, when they get to stage 2, there'll be 5 different abort zones, 2 Alpha through to Echo.
And that engine chill on the second stage, Merlin vacuum engine underway, same as they did for the 9 main Merlin 1 engines. So MVAC chill underway.
lovely launch.
And you can see the curve as it starts heading northeast towards its date with the International Space Station.
Yeah, we should warn flat earthers not to watch
We'll be
this.
coming up on
course.
3 events in rapid succession here, by the way. First will be Miko, main
And
engine
it's,
cutoff.
it's like a
Uh,
Stage
Merlin
1 is throttling down.
There we go, the throttle down for that. Then we will have separation of the first and second stages, and then that will be followed by the ignition of that Merlin vacuum engine, or Stage 2 SES.
Miko.
Stage separation
there
confirmed.
it is.
There we go.
Yep.
Stage 2 Alpha.
MVAC ignition.
Copy, 2 Alpha.
Yeah, the
And
blue-
there we
to
go.
the Earth at the interstage. That's
And
a
now the boost
beautiful
back
shot.
burn.
Look at that boost back burn.
Falcon 9's first
Wonderful
stage, slowing itself down.
You can see
and
the
turning-
second stage from the first stage. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And there it goes. Bye-bye.
And that is the burn
Yeah.
that is now getting the first stage back towards Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, which is where it is set to land. This is not a drone ship landing, this will be a land landing. So far, all looking good. It appears that the data that we see on screen, I believe that is second stage data.
Yes.
So that is what you see on the right side of your screen. That is the second stage. Crew Dragon and the 2 humans are on top of that. And on the left side of your screen, that is the booster now heading back.
Right.
For people may be wondering, what is that flash there, Ryan, and what is that stuff that's kind
Dragon,
of falling away?
SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
These intermediate flashes we're seeing, that's
Freedom
the
copy,
fastest
nominal trajectory.
These are the thrusters which are orientating the first stage when it's in the near vacuum environment at its current altitude. So the grid fins, as we could see, we're starting to deploy. They're not actually useful until the booster gets to the thicker parts of the atmosphere. So SpaceX uses these thrusters, these gas thrusters, in order to orient the vehicle as it begins to target Cape Canaveral there. So, and we could see a little bit of stuff floating about. That's usually just ice that's we see it around the first stage and around the second stage. The liquid oxygen inside, very, very cold. You'll find some little remnants of some oxygen or different bits of frost like that every so often, just floating around.
We look at that second stage, full-size Merlin vacuum engine there. What's that stuff that looks like tinfoil there, Adrian?
Dragon,
For those
SpaceX,
wondering
nominal
what's normal.
trajectory.
Yeah, that's just some insulation foil. It's
Freedom
actually
copy.
really.
Nominal trajectory.
There we go. It's just some.
I've muted it now. So that was a beautiful launch.
Yeah.
And as you can see on the booster, you can see the waffle makers that have flopped
Oh,
out,
yes.
which will help to control when it gets into the thicker atmosphere, control direction so it can pinpoint its landing. We'll watch this until here comes the booster. Look.
Yeah. Good start. Above the clouds.
I'll just try and put the sound back on, see if they get the sonic boom.
Plus 6 minutes and 17 seconds. That is when we will have one of the engines ignite to help slow itself down again.
Wow, and we can even see the cold gas thrusters firing from the ground. This is an incredible tracking shot.
What a view.
That entry burn will look
Dragon,
gorgeous from here
SpaceX,
now.
nominal trajectory.
Freedom copies. Nominal trajectory.
That's what we want to hear. Everything proceeding on course exactly as expected. Should be about 10 seconds away from that entry burn. Which, Ryan, what is the point of that entry burn and how does it work?
To fight fire with fire, and here it is.
Look at that, that's
Look
lovely.
at that. It's like a flame shield.
The
Exactly
Basically,
as
Falcon
it-
9 can't
the-
survive entry by itself, so it needs some support from its engines in order to slow down. And we can actually see here the vehicle starting to aerodynamically steer itself. Believe it or not, this booster actually produces a little bit of lift, and it's now using this to steer itself towards Cape Canaveral. It doesn't actually target Cape Canaveral until the very end, as we saw on CRS-16, in the event that there is some sort of anomaly which does not allow the booster to safely land at landing zone 1.
Right, it will steer itself
Dragon,
just off the
SpaceX,
coast.
nominal trajectory.
They're now fighting the
Freedom
aerodynamics. Look
copies.
at
Nominal
that.
trajectory.
Look at that,
look at that.
hurtling towards the.
Beautiful. We are now just about a few seconds away from the reignition of the engines one last time to land the vehicle at LZ1.
Bit of an unusual here. The landing burn for this will be 131 since they use the optimized landing
There
profile.
we go.
There we
Right.
go, there's ignition.
That's the 3. That's the 1.
And landing like deploy. And
Way.
Oh,
That looks like a
beautiful.
move touchdown to me. Beautiful.
Yeah.
touchdown.
Stage 2, FPS has
1085.
safed.
Well, there we go. The booster is back safely.
Yeah.
Probably on the replays, you'll be able to hear the sonic boom.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a perfect launch. So the two astronauts, Alexander Gorbanov and Nick Hague, are on their way now. Now, what will happen is they will now sort of like go up into the same same orbit as the International Space Station, and they'll basically chase it down. And with things going correctly, so what we got is scheduled to dock with the ISS on Sunday, September the 29th at around 5 p.m., which is 22:30 GMT. So yeah, so it's going to take well just under 24 hours to reach the International Space Station and dock.
Yeah.
And it'll be relief around for everybody, I should think. That
Yeah.
Butch and Sonny will probably be pleased to see them. But of course, they're not returning until February. So yes, it's a bit of a wait for them. They're going to miss Thanksgiving and Christmas. But I don't think that they've been too worried about that. They've enjoyed all their time up on the International Space
Well,
Station. They've been
I
kept
bet they brought
busy.
some freeze-dried figgy pudding for the event.
Yeah, yeah.
Freeze-dried turkey.
And then haven't
I think
Butch and Sonny been on the station for Christmas before? Anyway, I think they
oh,
have.
they possibly have, but this wasn't planned. So
That's true.
yeah, they haven't done their Christmas shopping yet. So
That's true.
yeah. So but there's somebody else to take that on. So yeah, they're in a coast mode at the moment. You can
I
see
bet
the
they could
stage.
use Amazon though. That's Ooh.
You what, Michael?
I bet they could use Amazon for the station.
Well, yeah. Well,
So it's
I don't
important.
think they want Mr. Bezos involved.
It's important to note the velocity here. This is 27 kilometers
Yep.
per second. I think it should be. I can't read it should be per second. And orbital velocity is about 30. It's about 20 it's close to 30.
Yeah.
So they don't quite have orbital velocity yet.
Well, that says it's yeah, it looks like kilometers per hour, but
Well, that's obviously not
no,
right.
I shouldn't think that'll
Right.
be. But yeah, and their
You
altitude
can drive
is,
30 kilometers per hour.
yeah, and their altitude at the moment is just under 200 kilometers.
So they'll
So,
probably
yeah,
stay in a lower orbit, therefore with a faster orbital period, in order to catch up with the space station.
Yeah. So that would make sense. Yeah.
And then they will slowly
Yeah.
rise to that same orbital altitude.
yeah. Right. Okay. Then let me just come back to.
Sandra Grace hopes that they are bringing apple pie to the station. I'd go up for apple pie.
Yeah.
Right, there we are.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, Andy, I couldn't see your sign because I was actually on YouTube, so I didn't see your chat come up. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a perfect launch. You can see the two astronauts, well, one cosmonaut, one astronaut, sat there enjoying the flight. Of course, they've got no not zero G, but gravity indicator. They got no fluffy toys. Now this capsule as well has been reconfigured for in case of emergencies. Underneath where the two astronauts are sat, there are three sort of like again, well, just flatbeds. They're sort of like where the cargo sits when they take the cargo up. There goes stage two. And what they do is they've taken out the all the strapping and they've reconfigured them, then made two more seats. And they can hold up to actually 7, but they've configured it so that this can actually hold 6, just in case there is any type of emergency. So now, if it does happen, then all of the crew will be able to enter the Dragon and, if need be, use it as a lifeboat to come back. So it has been reconfigured. It's not a case of that people will be left up there, because, as we said, there's already 2 more people than were expected to be up there already. So yeah, that was a perfect launch.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be progressing well. And any thoughts, gentlemen?
I'm wondering about this second stage that was just separated from. I'm hoping that it is on a trajectory to come down. There's an awful lot of space junk orbiting the Earth, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure they took that into account. But
yeah, because you two saying that, Lou, I mean, most things with SpaceX are designed to return into the atmosphere, but also just talking about returning into the atmosphere. This is one of the last. This will be possibly, I think Crew 9 will be the last crew that will actually splash down on the east coast. Am I getting this right? Let me just make sure I'm getting this right.
Yeah.
Because what they've been having is the trunk that's still connected to the Dragon at the moment, which is providing electric and things like that and fuel for the thrusters. They've been returning when they've returned crews in the past. These things of the trunks when they separate have been re-entering, and they've been designed as much as possible to make sure they do destruct in the atmosphere as they come back through the atmosphere, burn up in the atmosphere. But what they found is that large chunks of it have been actually surviving re-entry, and they've been crashing down in places like Australia, as far as North Carolina as well. So what they're going to do is they're actually going to move um, the splashdowns to the west coast. So they'll be splashing down in the Pacific rather than the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic. And they think by doing this and reconfiguring the re-entry burns and things like that, they can actually now the trunks will be um, splashing down in the Pacific safely rather than actually if anything does survive. So I think as early as Crew 10, I think they're looking at that. That will be the first splashdown in the Pacific.
All right.
So yeah, that's something else that they've had to.
Yeah.
You live and learn. Unfortunately, I mean, just luckily nobody's been injured, nobody's been hurt.
That's right.
But they shouldn't make them so well. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They
Right.
shouldn't use indestructible materials. But yeah, that's something else that we'll be looking forward to. Is they'll be moving the drone ships onto the west coast, and they'll be doing their landings from there, basically for safety reasons.
Okay.
But yeah, it is really good. It's good to see that they are thinking of these things. So let me just get rid of. We don't want to watch the adverts.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, we still got adverts. So anyway, let me stop sharing.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to watch anymore. So yeah, okay then.
Yeah.
So there we go. So that was a perfect launch.
Yeah.
One of the other things I'd just like to say before we go is that when you see these rockets return on the barges or when they've landed,
Yeah.
these boosters, they look really dark and charred and
Yeah. Yeah.
covered in soot and all that. And one of the reasons, as they said, when they fire the re-entry burn, that is their heat shield.
Right.
And what it is, they're fighting fire with fire.
Mm.
Because you've got the flames at the bottom, they fold back over, and it's coming down. They sort of like fold back over the booster, and they act as the heat shield, counteracting the thing. But also, what they also do is they pump just a little bit more kerosene into the fuel to help keep the engines cool.
All
And
right.
so that also adds to the soot. But I think this booster's done at least five previous launches, or this is its fifth. So
Okay.
it's not a newbie. And as we know, these are now reaching, you know, being used 20 odd times,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
right.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps with cost. It helps with turnaround of launches, and all we need to get now is the regulation side sorted out because that's being a bit of a problem at the moment.
Yeah.
But we won't go into that. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
I think that was a fantastic launch. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah. Brilliant. It's just incredible that they've had to do this. Crew change, not well, reduction, to enable a return craft for Butch and Sonny. So it's never been done before. So it's all good practice as well, isn't it? So if it does have to happen again, they've been through it at least once.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
they've now got the data and
yeah.
the know-how to do it. So yeah, very.
Well,
Lee,
one
what do you
thing I
think?
wanted to say though
Oh, sorry.
before we go, Nick Hay is the commander of this flight to the station, whereas Zena Camden was supposed to be the commander originally. When Butch and Sonny return with Crew 9, when they come back, what is going to be the configuration of the crew, commander pilot wise, so that'd be interesting as well.
Well, I don't think Butch and Sonny will be the commanders or the pilots,
Yeah,
because, like I said, they were trained on the Starliner.
true.
So, as I said, we've got, yeah. So we've got at the moment we've got Crew 8 up there, haven't we?
Yeah,
And Butch and Sonny. Then we've also got, I think there's 2 cosmonauts there.
yeah,
There's the 2 chaps who've just gone up now. So
yeah.
that's another 2. Now, when they return, Butch and Sonny will be returning with, I do believe, Crew 8, and the
That's
2
right.
and the 2 chaps who are coming, who are just gone up, will stay up there, and they will become part of Crew 9.
Oh, right. Okay.
Well, they are Crew 9 anyway. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they
what
are.
do I mean? They come part of, they are Crew 9.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Any
Right.
thoughts, Lou?
Well, the launch, as NASA likes to say, was nominal.
Yeah.
Means, nothing of
Nominal's good.
interest here.
Nominal's good.
Space exploration is so intricate, so risky, and yet it seems like we're kind of getting the hang of it.
Yeah.
I think of note, way back with the first Challenger disaster, NASA, if they hadn't already, very quickly adopted a philosophy of safety first. And so they're always erring on the side of crew safety, of course.
Mhm.
So we had the, I guess, the Crew 8 capsule return empty, and it turns out that it returned just fine.
Yeah.
I think they made the right decision to keep the astronauts in orbit until they had a chance to send another mission to retrieve them.
Yeah, exactly, Lou. It's always to err on the when people's lives are involved. It's always best to err on the side of caution. And it's, as you said, it was the right decision. Unfortunately, like I said, NASA in the past have suffered a few disasters. Luckily, not too many, but their lives have been
Not
lost.
many. Yeah.
Not yeah. There's so what I think it's 17, isn't it? 17, is it?
Yeah.
There was crew Apollo 1, the fire as they describe it, the capsule fire on the pad. That wasn't, but then again, and then of course then there was Challenger, and then there was Columbia.
Yeah.
So but any loss of life is totally regrettable, and if it can be avoided, it's got to be.
Yeah. Exactly.
And of course, as Blue says, NASA are very safety conscious, and
Yeah.
this is why, unlike SpaceX are try it and see and then adapt. They don't mind crashing things or blowing things up, which is admirable in a way, but it can be a little bit naughty. But NASA, they will test anything to the nth degree to make sure it's safe, and then test it all again, which isn't a bad thing. But anyway, they hopefully will. They're not coming back until February, but now they've got everybody's safe. There'll be a safe return home, and hopefully we can get the crew rotation for the International Space Station re-sorted, get it back in line, because there was supposed to be also an Axiom crew going up to join them, but that has now been postponed till the early 2025.
All right.
So because it did put a whole mess with the actual rotation system,
Right.
but now it's all resolved. So once I said they didn't have a microgravity indicator. They have. I think somebody must have snuck one on board. It's floating around now. I'm just watching it on here. It looks like I haven't got a clue what that is. Looks like some sort of fluffy bird thing. But
Right.
yes, so
Oh,
they're
yeah.
having a bit of fun up there, bouncing that around now.
Yeah. I can
But
see that
yeah, good on them.
now. Yeah.
I mean they've had to wait for their flight
Oh, yeah.
again to actually happen.
Mm,
The two that were bumped off of this flight, they have been promised
yeah.
positions on future flights, so they're not
Yeah.
going to be totally
Because
out
it
of the
was
way.
their first flight for
Yeah,
2 ladies.
so they have been promised that they will be rotated into future missions.
Yeah.
So they've just got to wait their time and that. So the rescue mission, if you want to call it that, is well on its way. Unlike Thunderbirds, they don't do it in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little while, and it's a watch. I think it'll all be a relief when this is all over and done with, and then everybody can just relax. I mean, Sonny and Butch were never in any danger.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Once they're on this, they haven't been stranded. There's
Yeah.
always been this plan implemented, been configured, and it just needed to be implemented. And now they're on their way. They're going to. There's provision now to get them off safely if anything happens. So
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I think that's
Okay.
fantastic. So I think we'll end it there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael, for
Yeah. No problem.
joining us, and Lou from across the sea. I hope your weather improves over there, Lou.
Yeah.
I
Got
mean,
to. It's got to.
yeah, our weather the last few days, we got flood warnings and
Yeah.
everything going on, and it looks like, oh no, it's actually stopped raining for a few seconds. So yeah, so fantastic.
Okay
So
then.
thank you everyone for joining us. And we hope to see you. Don't forget to join us on Tuesday for
Yeah.
our live show, usual time, 8 o'clock till 9, and we'll have all our space news there. And of course, don't forget, Andy will be presenting his 10 weirdest planets.
Oh,
Which
excellent.
he was
Yes.
hoping to show last week, and he'll be showing this week.
Yeah.
And no doubt we'll have lots of other news for you and entertainment for you. So hope to see you then. And everybody, thank you and goodbye. Thank you. Keep
Bye.
looking up.
Bye all.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care.